Mike and Dave here out in Ventura on the Rite of Passage once again. Getting ready for the Lemoore event.
Yeah.
And just coming off of Margie's, which unfortunately was called due to
Wildlife
activity.
It was wildlife.
Fairly dangerous wildlife activity.
I mean, how many professional sports in the world, especially in the United States, do we watch where your athletes are worried about being attacked by something in the food chain?
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Literally.
I mean, the last time
No
that
pun intended.
happened was with Fanning and Julian,
Yeah,
and
which
the
was
shark
recent.
actually bumped slash attacked, probably a checkout bump of Fanning, but still,
Way closer than you'd ever want to be.
yeah, than anybody.
Jesus.
You know, I mean, how many times have you seen a shark in the water in how many years that you've surfed?
Well, in that particular incident, it looked like a massive shark.
That was a massive
That was
shark.
a massive shark.
It was.
I think even if it would have been like, 50 feet away from me, I would have crapped myself.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no lying about that. So, yeah, I mean that's kind of unprecedented. That this time around, the men's didn't even get to the third round. The women's they had quarterfinalists who weren't able to compete. So, that affects a lot as far as, well, not only with Fantasy Surfer and how you pick your team, it's automatically a throwaway score, but also in the World Surfing League as far as their positions. You even had, minor players that moved, plus or minus 3 spots, like Connor Coffin and others
Which
who
is huge for him.
Yeah.
Not necessarily having a great year. So.
Right. So there was some kind of results that had changed there that probably a lot of people weren't thinking about, and it might be minor, but it's not minor for certain surfers, for example.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a detail a lot of people aren't really talking about. But so what else about Margie's do we want to talk about?
Well, it was just cut off real short. I don't even know if we got to see who is the most informed surfer. We didn't even quite get to see him in the best swell.
Yeah, and it was about to happen, right?
Yeah, I think there was about to be a good swell come through.
And there was some kind of, social media scatter that, some of the Brazilian guys were really paranoid and like, hey, let's cancel it. While you pretty much had the Owen Wright and his family going, you know what, fucking mate, this happens all the time in Australia. Like, this is probably the perfect time to go surfing because they're all after the fucking whale carcasses, it's like free. It's like a buffet floating out there for them. This is the fucking perfect time to go out there and surf right now. So that's probably their attitude, if I know Australians, where some of the other surfers probably were like, 2 shark attacks 6 kilometers from here? Fuck that shit. Why are they holding this event during the salmon run? Which they did,
Yeah.
and 2 years in a row now they've held the event during a salmon run. So
It makes you wonder what does overpower that. There's known food source like the salmon run and then this whale carcass. That has to affect the way a shark is looking for food, right? So
yeah.
I guess it would just be an experiment to
No, it wouldn't be an experiment. It's more like a random event. If a shark's going by and it sees a surfboard moving through the water on a wave and it looks like a lure, like, hey, I'm gonna check this out. It could be lunch, But for the most part, they're going after the salmons, and then the salmon runs are bringing sharks in closer so that there is that heightened risk. There is that heightened opportunity for any bait-looking thing in the water to be attacked.
And sharks aren't exactly like most sensible because they do get worked into a frenzy, a feeding frenzy, which is known. If you watch any kind of Planet Earth or whatever, like it'll show you once they get enticed to eating, it's not really like making too many judgment calls on like eating or not.
So, I mean, long story short, I don't blame the World Surfing League for canceling the event. What I think is ironic, it was the Western Australia Tourism Board who sponsored the event. So, I mean, that's got to be the worst, public media jab in the world to sponsor an event that gets canceled because sharks are eating people. So,
They weren't. Oh yeah, it did attack 2 people. That's
attack two people. So, I mean that is a good lead-in to our next topic, which is the Founders Cup.
right. Shark free.
It's shark-free.
Shark free.
There's no worry about stepping on sea urchins as you go out there, or slipping on a moss-covered rock and busting your noggin. No worry about a dolphin plowing into you at 30 miles an hour.
Did you see that? that SUP guy just gets plowed. That was awesome. That probably hurt really bad.
It probably did, but I mean, the good thing about let's talk seriously about the Founders Cup. Sorry, I mean this is pretty freaking revolutionary. This is a man-made, almost perfect wave. One thing I was kind of thinking about today, even before we decided to film this, was, it's kind of a fast wave, is what I was thinking about.
It's a runner.
It's like a runner. It's like a runner. Yeah.
It's like.
And, I mean, there are spots that open up, and allow them to do moves, allow them to do turns or airs. But the barrel section is very similar to a wave that both of us have seen out here when it's really barreling. It's a super fast barrel. And what I was thinking about, that must have to do something with the technology in that short of a space, that you have to have whatever's powering that wave get up to a certain speed to generate a certain size.
Right.
Versus like a slow groundswell, like a
Yeah.
groundswell that's coming from thousands of miles away, where the speed of that wave could actually be slower. So, I mean, that was kind of something I was thinking about. But that leads me to just say, this is a predictable wave. It's like a skate park. It's like putting a skate park in the middle of Texas, or in the middle of any inland area. And you and I were talking about this. We think it's pretty much a game changer on so many levels.
On so many levels, I think it's going to open up. I mean, everybody has to know it's going to open up surfing to millions of people that didn't have access before.
Right.
And it's going to really, I mean, for us, I think it actually opens up other areas like you could possibly live. Like there's a lot of places that I would consider if there was some sort of beach, wave,
Right.
something to do with the ocean like that. At least surfing primarily.
No, and I think both of us talked about this, that we've had many conversations of other states that we like, but we both said, there's no way I could live there because it doesn't have a place you can surf. Like Colorado.
Yeah.
Colorado would be like my second favorite place, probably in the United States outside of Hawaii. It's probably Colorado because of its geographical diversity, being able to snowboard all kinds of different places, river raft, or, there's all kinds, even the people there are just super laid back.
Oregon is another spot that
Oregon too.
I've
Oregon
always
too.
really flirted with going up to. Has all those same facets,
It has surf
rafting.
too. It's just freezing.
It does have surf, but I'm not interested in that kind of surf. I don't want to wear more rubber than I have to wear here, which is already uncomfortable. And damn it, there's just so much right here that it's too hard to go anywhere else.
Right. But I mean, you're bringing up a good point that it actually opens up even for the hardcore surfer who lives in a particular place because of the surf. It allows them to. You said Las Vegas.
Yeah, I would be willing to move to Las Vegas because I like to gamble a little bit, and then it's fun out there. There's a lot to do. They have killer shows. I mean, there's a lot going on there except for.
There's no notion.
There's nothing else except for desert outside of it.
And
But if there was waves there, that would definitely check one of the boxes for me. Sick, I can go surf. I can play some CADs.
No, and we also talked about that. someone like me who grew up in the 80s and actually was skateboarding when all the skate parks were shut down because there was this risk of lawsuits. And literally, like 95% of them shut down, and so we were skating pools. And then the 90s come along and they changed some of the laws to allow parks to create skate parks by just saying, hey, it's kind of skate at your own risk. And that's going to be the same thing with this type of technology. And can you imagine, we were talking about this before, can you imagine going to a resort that didn't just have one Achilles wave, but it was like a mammoth mountain where you had 30 different waves that you could basically traverse and maybe even have some kind of transportation in between each one, some
there's
monorail
like
or
a
something.
break in
you know?
it. You'd like, oh, I'm gonna hit the freaking jet stream over this way.
Yeah.
And you just drop you into the next pool, and you're like, ooh, what's up?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm at the point
that's
break,
even
baby.
better. Like water rafting
Yeah.
into the next section.
Totally.
Oh my God. You heard it here. You heard it here first. So I mean, imagine that though. Like, and they could reproduce places like, hey, this is a pipeline type of wave, or this is a Java type of wave. Obviously, you're not going to get the distance on it, but being able to represent the dynamics of each spot would be pretty phenomenal. And you're always going to get guaranteed surf. I mean, so the Founders Cup is happening in 2 days.
Right. First up.
And I think as long as, right now we're under overcast weather, so I don't know what it's doing in Lemoore, if it's raining, and if that's going to, make them...
Shouldn't affect.
Why would it, right? So this is the beautiful thing, is you don't have to have a 2-week waiting period.
No, the water's not going to get dirty or anything. So
you pretty much know what the conditions are going to be.
Hey, it's going to be firing.
It's going to be firing every time. There's going to be predictability in this. And so I think last event, when we briefly mentioned the Founders Cup, which we'll reiterate here, is based on different teams from different countries. And you also have a world team, too, which is comprised of multiple countries. But you basically have 5 different countries representing, almost in an Olympic format. And if you recall, last event, I was all saying Brazil. Like, no one's going to freaking beat Brazil.
Yep. Well, they've come out with the teams, right? They posted the teams. We're checking those things out.
Yeah.
And it's looking like everybody's going to have a little bit of good sauce out there. But ultimately, I think we're both kind of feeling like the U.S. and Australian team
are better than Brazil.
Maybe a notch above the Brazos.
And maybe part of the reason is each team has 2 women on their team. And so you've got the Australian team with Stephanie Gilmore and Tyler Wright are probably the top 2 barrel riders in, as far as competitive surfing, the best in the world right now, I would imagine. And then on the U.S. team, you have Lakey and Courtney Conrad. Right. So, and we've seen Lakey get shacked, at the Gold Coast and, at Kira coming down in. So, but she doesn't have that same contest shackability that like Stephanie does, for example.
We'll see though, because it's going to be very skate park-like, so she's going to be able to line it up,
Right.
And no doubt they've all already had sessions there, so it's really going to be interesting to see how they can showcase their talent on a wave that is the same every single time.
So we kind of both agreed on this, that USA and Australia are probably going to be the top 2 to beat. We think Brazil will probably come in 3rd. The world team, which is Jordy Smith, I think Kanoe Igarashi's on that team. There's a few other really. Michelle Burris is on that team, so Michelle's going to kill it. They have a good team, but they also have Joanne Deroux, and I'm not sure who their other woman.
They have
surfers.
Paige
for
the world team.
for the world team?
World team, they have Paige Hareb and
Okay.
Bianca Budenthal.
I said all great surfers, but do they have an experience in that running type of barreling wave? You know, it's not a short barrel wave. It's a like you really have to keep up your speed in this barrel, and it's not necessarily big.
Right.
And so you're kind of tucked down low. And who has that ability? And so that's kind of why the world team.
You know, because I wonder how big they're going to run the wave. Like, are they going to turn it up for us? Because we've all seen the wave that everybody's been surfing, you know, which is, you know, head high.
You're right, right.
A little overhead,
Yeah.
like when it looks turned up a little bit. I mean, are they? I don't know. We obviously
I don't even
they
know.
haven't told everybody everything about it.
I don't even
so
know. Yeah,
who
exactly.
knows if it's like they turn it up, but maybe not. I'm gonna keep my hopes low that it's the same wave. And if it is, Michelle Perez and Jordy are big cats, you know. So like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a skinny running barrel. So
Yeah,
are they
yeah.
going to be able to get really barreled? And how high does the barrel get scored when you know it's going to barrel for a huge long section? Like, or do we bring back length? Like you're actually going to put a stopwatch on the barrel
I
time
know,
now?
I know when I see someone getting shacked for 10 seconds versus 7 seconds, like how that's going to make me feel about it. Or if they're riding that foam ball the entire time and then manage to come out versus someone who just
barely,
barely gets
yeah.
it like a head dip.
It's
And that
gonna
wave
be
is so
splitting
fast.
hairs, man.
It is.
It's going to be hard to judge.
So
I
and
think.
and we, you know, we don't have any problems with the Europe team, but they are last on our list, and someone has to be last.
Someone's got to be last, and unfortunately, in this scenario for the Europeans, it's all y'all.
Yeah.
All y'all, you guys, you Euros are. I don't know. I don't see McFanning on your team, or Kelly Slater, or John Florence, so that doesn't bode well.
I just don't think they have the experience at that type of venue. I don't know. Prove me wrong, guys. Prove me wrong.
No
Europe
doubt,
team.
you guys for
Prove
sure
me
the
wrong.
rip. Jeremy, you rip. I freaking always pull for you. You're always on my fantasy team. No offense. Just looking at it from a team perspective, I see a lot of established top tier surfing
Right.
on a lot of the other teams that is impossible to deny.
So let's talk about the women right now, kind of where they're ranked. You probably didn't expect to see Stephanie Gilmore coming out like she's done. Honestly,
Yeah, she's fired up, huh?
she's kind of fired up. She's currently in first, and even though the event stopped right before the quarters, probably helped her a little bit. And but you also have our local favorite, Lakey Peterson
Yeah, Handley in
from
second.
Santa Barbara, the Rincon Classic champ. Well, I don't know if she's won the Rincon Classic, but she's someone that we surfed with a bunch, and you definitely got to say that she's most improved, potential to be world title contender this year.
Yeah.
I would
Well,
say.
you know, and last year she showed some air ability, so you know we'll see how that translates to this wave also, because
Right,
it's
right.
supposed to be a performance wave. So
And predictable.
you know, barrels, turns, and if you can sack up and throw an air,
Yeah,
you know, she's one of the girls that can do it.
she's probably one of the best. And
and,
Silvana, yeah. I mean, Silvana can bust some airs. I don't know if Silvana's gonna. I don't know. Silvana could be up there.
it seems pretty.
You know what?
tricky, though. Even
Silvana's
watching
tiny
Felipe-
too, though. So
right,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. So I'll have to think about that one. So that kind of touches on our women, and finally, let's get into the next event, which is Rio.
The Rio Pro.
Oi Rio Pro, Saquarema, Brazil.
Saquarema again. So winner last year, ADS, Adriano de Souza.
Adriano. And which is
Um,
funny because he beat Ace Buchan, who got
Ace.
second also in the first event of this year.
I don't think we failed to mention Ace Buchan every single podcast this year.
And believe me,
not on purpose.
it's
just
not on purpose.
it
It
just
is
keeps
not on purpose.
But the boy can surf. It's just he's underrated.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, he got second
You
at
know
the
my-
Gold Coast.
You know my cross feelings about this is like he is
He's right in the
his
honey spot
surfing
of the-
his surfing IQ is so good that it keeps him in the mix. It's because his contest ability way more. I mean, don't get me wrong, the dude's on point on his backside, but you and I've always said, backsides are overjudged because they're just doing freaking one turn every
Yeah,
time.
it's just easier to go
So
vertical.
whatever. So I'm not going to go there on that rant. And then Yago Dora actually made it to the semifinals versus Wilco last year as well.
Yeah.
So
Yago.
I mean, there's a lot of Brazilian guys, but I will say that a lot of times when I watch a Brazil contest and you think the Brazilians are going to come out firing, a lot of times that country seems to put pressure on them when they
definitely put a lot of pressure.
and so not as many of them go as far as
Adriano's
you
the
would
only
think.
one that really gets fueled
Consistently,
by that
Yeah.
Brazilian fire. He's all about it.
Right.
And willed him to a win. When Yago was killing everybody with airs, ADS is still working people with turns, and
Right.
and that's what it came down to. I think it slowed down. It wasn't quite as vertical, and he took Yago down, and just by smart surfing, hit some nice vertical turns and.
So so for the men? I mean, that that whole contest thing you weren't really able to see again who's standing out. It kind of left this void, if you will.
I think so far this year we got to say Julian's standing out.
He's
To me,
leading.
he's standing out the most. He's actually only been like 10% owned like all year.
Yeah, and he's got a great opportunity now
He's got another great opportunity, and Sakurama is,
Yeah.
has a left on it, and he's really good on his backhand.
Yeah.
Last year it looked like there was a lot of lefts. There was some rights, but kind of like a wave around here, like the right isn't always gonna do it. Sometimes it does offer a throaty little right, a throaty right barrel or something.
Right.
But usually it's going to be a long workable wall, or it'll offer that air spot.
So who's going to win for the men?
That's just, it's so tough, I mean, Philippe probably has like one of the better chances because
It's exactly the first person that came to my mind.
I think he's going to be able to adapt to the conditions fairly easily.
So much opportunity for airs there. There's
I think Yago could definitely show out
Yago
again.
too. Even the Thomas Hermes and even Michael Rodriguez.
Yep. I really think Julian probably is going to...
Julian, too.
He's going to get to the quarters or better.
I agree, 100%. 100%.
And ADS, man, I can't deny that he's just the competitive warrior, man. I mean, and like he won last year, so...
Is Kelly going to show up for real?
No.
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 Don't count on Kelly showing up. I don't think
I mean, you kind of have to go. I mean, if you're a fan of surfing and Kelly really puts on a performance at the Founders Cup but doesn't show up for Rio, then that's going to send a big message about Rio, in my opinion. And, you and I have been playing fantasy surf for a long time. A lot of people have said that Rio should never be on the tour, but for sure it is, because you have to have a spot in Brazil, which for the World Surf League, who we completely appreciate for letting us use their stuff, but they have a market there that they need to,
address for sure.
they need to address for sure. I mean, it's
very much appreciated.
We could say the same thing about the Huntington Beach U.S. Open. Like, it's got to be the freaking worst wave in the world to have a contest, but you have so many different California markets there that you have to be there. So same thing for some of those places in Brazil, and it's a testament to why a lot of professional Brazilians end up moving out of Brazil and living in California.
They all live down in Carlsbad.
They all live in or
Ish,
San Clemente.
San Clemente, somewhere down over there.
So
A lot of waves.
what else?
I don't know. Who's your dark horse for this event?
My dark horse. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna say Colapinto.
Yeah, don't forget about Griffin, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Colapinto because he's used to some beach breaky styley, like and those San Clemente type waves too. that I think all the different conditions that Sakurama throws up is similar to a lot of areas around California beach breaks. So that's my dark horse.
That's your dark horse. I think it's a pretty good one. He's probably going to be heavily owned, as he has been all year.
So he might not be a dark horse under our conventional terms. Right?
Yeah.
I agree.
But he is a low end guy that you're probably going to pick. I wonder who's going to be the wild cards for this one.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got to surf the trials in order to get that, at least, right?
I believe.
I want to see some more Mikey Wright, is why I say.
Oh, right.
He's surfing pretty good. He'd be fun to watch at this contest, probably.
Right.
Out of like the people that could sub in, you know.
And you know what? That's kind of a bummer for him in the last event that they cut that off short, because that was another great opportunity for him.
Yeah, he could have racked up a bunch of points for sure.
Exactly. So
make a little run there and boom, you know.
Yeah, that was a bummer on that.
Yeah, there's a lot more hurt things that happen, I think, points wise.
Because of the Sharks.
Because of the Sharks than anything. Like,
yeah.
just all around, just not awesome.
Not awesome.
Not awesome for Fantasy Surfer or the World Surf League or any of the boys on the league. So sorry for that, but
check us out. Check us out on Fantasy Surfer. Our clubhouse is
the Fantasy Dark Horse.
Yep.
On Fantasy Surfer.
We play every event. We put in a little bit of dinero, if you will, and challenge each other on events. This last one, since it got canceled, we moved it into Rio. But hey, if anybody wants to double down, give us a shout out.
Yeah, you want to throw in a vote for Double Down on the Oi Rio Pro? Make it a extra juicy pot for us.
Yeah, that might be cool. That might be cool.
I wish it was a better event, because it's
our hardest event to pick.
It's for sure. I know you and I both struggle with that every single year. It's always my worst one.
It's my worst one.
Just to throw away. So
I mean,
I'd rather
be giving
double down
money
on a
away.
different one.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll throw that vote out there.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, keep the chat coming. Throw some comments our way, whatever. Good luck with you and your team, and we'll see you for the next event. Thanks. Don't forget to subscribe and like and all that good stuff. We'll see you guys next time.